My book, well, it sort of, I never wrote it really as a crime novel, but those are the sort of books I love, with that very strong sort of plot element to them. So I think, yes, it's a sort of a thriller, but also has elements of it being a little bit of a love story almost. And hopefully it sort of talks a little bit about identity and our sense of self and our sense of who we are. And for me as well, it's also a book about somebody who is kind of looking back on their life and looking back at themselves when they were much younger and thinking about the things they wanted to achieve and their ambitions and their dreams, and then comparing that to their life now and thinking, you know, how much did I fall short of what I was hoping for? So it was all those sort of things mixed in, I think. I think I was particularly interested in the theme of growing older because I was approaching, well, there were a couple of things. I was approaching 40 when I was writing it. I mean, and 40 isn't old by any means, you know, but it's still one of those sort of milestone birthdays, I think, when you kind of reflect where you are in your life and where you perhaps wanted to be and see, you know, if you're on the right track, I think. And also, I became very aware, approaching that birthday, that there are certain options that start to be closed off to you. You lose that sort of sense of you could do anything with your life, and you start to think, actually, you know, there are some things I can no longer do, I no longer have time to achieve. So I think I was probably very conscious of getting older, and I was looking at my own life and sort of realising that I'd always wanted to be a writer, and I'd always wanted to write novels. And yet, although I was writing, I wasn't really writing seriously or giving writing enough space in my life, I think, and enough of my energy. So I think I was looking there at how I needed to redress that balance. All those things I think actually fed into the book, although at the time I wasn't really aware of it. It's only now, looking back on the book, that I can see where all those elements have played their part. I don't know why people are so fascinated by people with no memory. I think I became aware as I was writing the book that it's a very fundamental fear, I think, of losing your sense of self. And because I think, yes, if you don't have those memories, if you don't know your own life story, you must feel very, very alone, very isolated, very vulnerable as well. So I think it's that very real fear of forgetting who you are and also who the people around you are, and your sort of support network, I suppose, and feeling very lonely. And it must be a very lonely kind of existence if you don't have that support network or those memories. So I can only imagine it's that sort of fear that people have. I think I enjoy reading the stories that I read, and therefore writing in the way that I write, because I don't know, I've never really thought about it, but I think I do love books that do have this sort of page-turning element to them, where you really want to find out what the truth is or what's really going on. So I suppose I like mysteries and books where you really feel sort of involved. But I like all different kinds of books, really. But I do think that lots of people do enjoy stories where, I mean, the world is quite chaotic, and often I think we feel very sort of out of control. And so I think the lovely thing about even a crime novel that has a very violent crime in it, you know, you can still, although that can frighten you, it's kind of a safe fear. You know, you can close the book and you've still got your cup of coffee and you've still got your world around you, and you can feel a little bit sort of, it's a bit, I suppose it's a little bit like going on a roller coaster almost. You know, it's very frightening, but you know you're basically safe. I think that's what people like about those kind of books.